Hello, my name is Bruce, and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing three subjects. We're going to be doing a brick, a decorative brick. We're going to be doing a label on a bottle, and we're going to be doing a badminton net on a beach using netting. Now, to begin with, we'll start with the brick. In front of me, you see different types of sponges. You can buy these at hardware stores, art stores. And what you can do is take a big sponge like this and you can cut it up into little squares like this. And you can use this for a number of things. Today, we're going to be using something a little different. We're going to be using a sponge which originally was this size, and it's different because it has sort of little design to it. Now, this is a design that we're going to be doing today on a brick. Now, the reason why I'm talking about the sponges, there's so many out there. You should experiment because you can use it on a beach for sand, you can use it for rocks, you can use it for sky, just about anything. And as time goes by, we're going to be covering a lot of those subjects. The other thing is I have some construction tape. I believe it's about a quarter of an inch thick. We're going to be using that too. I find this very, very handy when you want to do something which is that size and you want perfect edges. What we've done today, we've gone ahead and painted the board with a blue, black, white background and allowed it to dry. Now, that represents the mortar that we're going to be using in this brick display today. Now, mortar comes in lots of colors. You can take a yellow ochre and a touch of black to make like a sandy gray. It just goes on and on. That's for you to research. Now, all these subjects that I do are very quick and they're for beginners. Of course, anybody can pick up a few pointers along the way. Now, what I've done to set up my bricking, I've used my quarter-inch tape and I've made squares. Now, the brick, because of the size of my board, basically about 2 inches and 5 inches. So I've divided and made squares 2.5 inches square. Now, and then I've, of course, placed my tape on the board. So to get the brick, I'll have to remove some of these tapes. Now I've gone ahead and started to cut them so it'll come off easy. Now that's the brick size. So this would be a brick and a half brick, half brick. So now when you do a brick, you don't want to put a brick, 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 brick. You want a brick that alters. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take it off. Full brick, full brick. Over here, full brick. So now you want this center going right at the center of the one that's a full brick. So I'm going to go over here and take this one out. So now I have brick, 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 brick. You see this on the side of buildings. You see it on walkways. And basically, that's how you create the design of your brick. Now, I wanted to show you what would happen if you made a mistake. You see what happens? Now, that's not what you want. What you want is to have that design of a brick. So let's put that back and let's take these two out. There you go. So now you have a nice brick wall. Now to paint the brick today, with the colors that I'm going to be using, or the paints, I'm going to be using a cad red, alizarin crimson, and a touch of Indian red. You can make whatever color you want, even for this demonstration. If you happen to want a gray brick, just use black and white and a touch of blue. And just make your own brick background, because what we're doing today is showing you basically how to set up the design. And then when we do the actual design on the brick with the sponge, that will be your lesson. So let's just start filling in the brick. Now remember, the green, the green tape represents the mortar that holds the brick together. So let's put this here. with a nice red brick. Now, if you find your paint not going on easily because you've already painted your board, just use a little bit of your medium and soften up your paint and make it more fluid. Now, all I'm doing is filling it in. I'm just doing a little excess, but I'm making sure I get very close to the tape. Time to mix some more, so I'm just going to take a little bit of the Cad Crimson and a little bit of the Indian. There we go. Make it nice and smooth. Of course, you know, when you do a brick, it could be a little bit rough. I guess you could get away with being rough. Strange. Used a lot more than I thought. I'm going to change the color of the brick a little bit here because I have more Cad Red than I do Cad Alizarin. There we go. So once that's done, keep the tape on your board, and now take one of your sponges. I'm going to be taking this type, and I'm going to go to white in this case, just because I want to make it clear. But you can use, again, you can turn it into like a gray if you want it to, just by adding a little black and blue. But I'm just going to use a white. And I put it on my canvas, or pardon me, on my sponge, looking similar to this. Then all I do is press it down on my brick. You see the design that we're starting to get? Now that design, once I remove the tape, is going to stand really out. Just touch it. Now the design I'm using, like I say, is with this type of sponge that has holes in it. You can also use basically one that has very few holes. They're very small holes. So I can just do a little bit if I want to here. Let's try it. That will do the same, but now it makes it like a nice little smudginess to it. And of course, you always have a little bit of smudginess on a brick. So there you go. Now let's remove the tape. When I put the tape on, I extended the tape past the canvas so that it'd be easier for me to sort of grip it and take it off. There we go. Now, making a brick background for a painting actually sometimes works out well. I did one a while ago with a large painting. I made my background a little duller, and I painted a chickadee in the middle on a branch and some green leaves and some red berries, and it looked quite nice. So there you go. There's your brick wall that's made up very easily with tape and sponge. So the next subject that we're going to be doing a label on a bottle. Now, there's all kinds of different ways of doing this. You can paint it. What I like to do is make it quick and easy and accomplish what I'm setting out to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some netting. This is just any ordinary netting. There's all kinds of netting out there, you know, that you can use for design. For example, you can use an onion bag. Now, when you get onions at the grocery store, it comes in a bag that looks similar to this. That'll work. Christmas wrappings. Sometimes you have ribbons that you wrap around your tree. It looks like this. That's a nice design of netting. And it goes on and on. Just do a little research and you'll have a lot of fun. So what we're going to do first, we're just going to take and I'll do it this way, I guess. Put your netting exactly where you would like to have it. Take some tape. Again, this is just the grown-up brother of that little one you saw. Take some tape and create your label. Let's just say here. Now this ribbon that I'm doing here is fairly thick, so I may change my mind and get a thinner label of netting. Because you must put your tape tight against the bottle. That's going fairly tight. So that's on fairly tight. You might have to assist it a little bit by the looks of it, but the object is you want to use the netting to put your paint through and allow the background of the net to show against the bottle. Now, I'm just going to mix up a little bit of color that we used for the original painting of the brick. I'll do that very quickly here. And I'm going to use the same colors because it sort of matches the top of this bottle. And by the way, at the end of this episode, I'm going to link you to how to paint that bottle. You're going to be able to paint that bottle in about 5 minutes and it's going to look very authentic. So let's just use the two colors in this case. The brush that I'm going to be using is going to be fairly thick, squared off and fairly thick. So let's see what I can do here. Now I'm just poking it through. Now this netting you can use for so much. I mean, you're going to do a basketball court? It'll work. How about a tennis racket? Yeah, that'll work. There's so much that you can do with netting. And that's it. That's all you have to do to paint a nice label on a bottle. Now, let's just see how that turns out. There you go. Oops, sorry. So there's your bottle, there's your netting. Now that was easy. But can you imagine sitting here with your a fine brush, perhaps a nice liner brush like this, and going and trying to make it even, trying to get it exactly perfect. This eliminates that type of problem. So the next thing that we're going to be doing a badminton net on a beach. Now, again, this badminton net on the beach is using netting. But what I wanted to do is show you the different size of netting and how it works. So I have a netting that is a little bit smaller. Now, this actually came from a ribbon that was used at Christmas time. So I'm going to put the netting down. We're going to do the exact same thing we just did. Remember, I always say practice makes a better painting. There we go. There we go. Like so. Now you want this nice and tight. That doesn't always happen, but try to anyway. There we go. Yeah, it's fairly tight. Now the mixture that I'm using for sand, again, there's quite a few different mixes that you can use, but I'm just going to keep it to the minimum. You know, yellow ochre and white makes a nice sand. You can put some Umbver in there, you can put some burnt sienna. You can vary the colors of your sand. A little bit of gray with this mixture will give you your shadow. So let's take a brush. Now here it is again, same thing. This brush here is flat at the end. There we go. I'm just going to take some paint, and you got it. We're just going to dab it. Mix a little bit more there, I think. Now remember, using netting really saves you a lot of time, and I believe it gives you a lot of accuracy. For example, let's say you're going to do a fishing net, maybe one hanging from a rack or something drying. I mean, you do something like we're doing now, and it turns it into a perfect fishing net. And I have used a ruler and various things for doing straight lines. For example, if you have thick paint, did you know you can use a cookie cutter to make a straight line? Just a thought. So there you go. There's basically the first process that you do to do your badminton net on the beach. So let's take this off. And there's your sand that is now shown through your badminton net. So let's go and add some sand to the beach here. Get myself a good brush. There's a good brush. I'm not going to do the whole painting because the object is to learn how to use this netting And I think we've done that so far. There we go. Add a little red there just to break it up on the bottom a bit. There we go. Let's just get a little dark color. I'm just going to take some red. Normally you'd use something like a raw umber or Van Dyke brown, but we can turn that into our shadow just by adding red. Okay, sorry about me turning the canvas like that. Okay, so here we go. There's your netting, and there's your representation of a beach. Now, again, I just want to emphasize, when you do netting, you can do it for so many subjects. So, that's it for today. We're going to just line these all up so you can see what you've done today. It's a very short lesson, and I hope you've learned something, because it can be really a lot of fun painting with netting, and even doing a background like with brick. I mean, that's quite nice, quite easy, quite simple. So there you go. Hopefully you've had a lot of fun. I certainly did. Let's try and turn this way. I'm trying to get it all lined up for you here. You can see it all at once. There we go. How's that look? So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, try different things, try different colors. Experiment. That's what painting's all about, having fun. Anytime you make an accident, that's called experience. Thank you very much again. Until next time, happy painting.